Hey, what's up guys? Gons here for the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. I got permission from Tom Horn to show a few minutes of Inhuman, the next and final phase of Man is Here. It's the documentary film that I worked on for Tom Horn and Skywatch TV, and this was a pretty groundbreaking project in terms of presenting transhumanism in a consumable form for both people who are familiar with it and those who aren't, especially from the Christian worldview. It does interview a couple of pro-transhumanists, and it's very interesting the kinds of things that they say about what they believe transhumanism ought to be. So this clip that I'm about to show is a few minutes pieced together. It's not an entire section or anything like that, but I wanted to share it with you because Tom did give me the green light to show a few minutes of the film. So I'm going to do that between today and tomorrow. But today it's going to be the transhumanists and what they believe and how they view Christians even. So the main two people in this clip are going to be Natasha Vita-More. She is a pro-transhumanist, and she is very well established in the transhumanist community. She is the wife of Max More, who is also a very well-known thinker in the transhumanist community. And the other person is Dr. James Hughes, who is a sociologist, and he also has some very unique views about transhumanism. He's definitely pro-transhumanism, but he does offer some caution. And there's a few other people that I included in this clip, but I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope it encourages you guys to go to Skywatch TV to purchase the whole 3-hour documentary to have in your library, but also to share with friends and family, because this is one of those films that really does allow you to consume transhumanism and also the biblical perspective or biblical response of transhumanism in a nicely produced documentary form. So check this out. Hope you guys have an awesome day. God bless.
When I first heard the word transhumanism, like a lot of people, I was a little overwhelmed. Was this science even possible, or was it just science fiction? It was immediately clear that if this technology were, in fact, real, these developments might lend themselves as an aid to humanity in the ceaseless battle for health and long life. But on the other hand, something in my gut sensed that there could be another side to all of this. When something appears too good to be true, it often is. So questions formed in my mind. What were the moral implications of becoming something other than Homo sapiens sapien, humans, what we are today? Would we be human at all if the agenda of these scientists were met? Well, I decided to investigate the issue, and I started reaching out to experts on all sides of the movement, and I was surprised by what some of them had to say.
Transhumanism is basically a worldview developed by those who want to consider living longer and applying the skilled sciences and emerging technologies and bringing this about through principled values and ethics. Transhumanism, as a philosophical point of view, is a codified philosophy that pretty much does the same thing. As a philosophy, it is seeking knowledge and truth about ways we can look at improving the human condition, extending life, improving environmental situations, our transportation, communication, ways we can work as a species to better enrich and protect and sustain our species. As a worldview, it's based on the enthusiasm and proactivity of people throughout the world who want to put good use to the sciences and technologies that are emerging. Therefore, it has become a worldview.
One of the challenges for transhumanists is to push forward an idea that comes out of the Enlightenment, which is that what gives us moral standing, or what's significant about being a human being and alive, is that we're a self-conscious, subjective being. Humanity has the right and obligation to take rational control of its own destiny and to improve its welfare through reason and science. And the challenge is that as we begin to do that in ways that move beyond the constraints of being human, live longer than humans traditionally have more cognitive abilities, have more physical abilities than humans traditionally have, that it's no longer humanism, it's something beyond humanism. And so that meaning is that we're transcending humanism, or humanism that transcends itself.
The question of whether transhumanism is a religion or even an old form of religion is interesting. You know, from a Christian perspective, you know, I think it's very fair to argue that we're really seeing the original lie that the serpent fed to Eve in the garden, that you will be like God. You know, I don't think that it's just an accident that we see some of the people in the transhumanist movement even making that claim.
Even some transhumanists have said, yes, this replaces what religion has always given people. That is the idea of hope, the idea of believing in something bigger than ourselves. And if you're a pure materialist, which transhumanism really is a purely materialist viewpoint, there is no hope unless you can find something that could replace what religion used to supply.
So in that regard, we get to the religious or spiritual groups. Because many philosophers are driven at their core by maybe their religious perspectives, like, say, Fukuyama perhaps, and maybe Leon Kass, or even Bill McKibben, they approach it from their fields speaking in a philosophical tone, which breaks down the real need for philosophy and a search for truth and knowledge and about human existence, because it's driven by the core of religion. And as we know, when we look at human enhancement through a religious view, we get into who's playing God. You know, isn't this God's position, or someone of a higher order, depending on the various religious views, that it's not our right to do this, that we have to stand by and let a greater voice or a greater mind or an intelligence do this for us. On the other side of that, if you look at the spirituality aspect of it, if the spiritual nature of us is to find peace and communion and higher consciousness, then it would make sense that we would want to enhance ourselves and help others enhance themselves, because that's paying it forward.
If the maker of the entire universe also made man, he knew exactly what he was doing. And for a man to come along and say, I can improve on that, is hubris of the first magnitude.
If we were created beings, would God want us to stay children forever? Or wouldn't he want us to become more wise and more like him in order to understand the divine purpose and join in that divine purpose? You know, a child can't help with the goals of the parent in a very competent way, but a grown-up child can. And so when are we going to grow up, and how are we going to grow up? And I think transhumanism might be one of the ways Christians eventually figure out that they could grow up.